We're on. Good morning and welcome to the Bipolar Sunrise. I'm your host, Garrett Nichols.
Ryan Sullivan.
Nate Dog.
And Nate Dollar, okay. So we already talked a little bit this morning about, things that happen in life to change your situation that you're comfortable with. I guess since we're starting out, and maybe we could talk about that. How do you handle situations when your life something happens in your life to where you have to make changes out of your typical comfort zone or out of your routine that you're used to? We all have a routine that we're kind of used to, and we get a significant other, spouse or a child, then our routine becomes their routine, and their routine also becomes ours, and we've got to work that routine into our lives. So when something happens, say for example, like what's happening to me is not my direct boss, but my boss's boss at work has been terminated, and they're hiring someone new. So my thoughts over the weekend have been focused quite a bit on what might happen at work, when really there's probably nothing I can do. But it has been on my mind. It's affected the way that I function, and it's affected my routine, and I've been on vacation, so I'm going back to work, not knowing what happened at work while I was gone. It's so there's some information I think that my brain is struggling right now to fill in gaps, and it causes a bit of unwanted, I wouldn't say stress, but it is to a degree stress, but it's a little confusion and misunderstanding, and trying to, I guess, put a cushion down before I hit the ground come Monday. And it's a lot of preemptive what if, but I'm nervous about it, but not to a degree where I'm freaking out, but it is consciously on my mind. It's on my conscience, and I'm thinking about it because it may affect my routine that I'm so used to. And a lot of times in life, my routine's gotten screwed up, and it's been for the better. Sometimes it's for the worse, but when one door closes, another one opens. It's kind of always been that way. You just got to keep moving forward, but it doesn't make the stress of the situation any easier to deal with. And I think through time and situational awareness of having this type of thing happen in the past, I'm more prepared for it, so I'm not freaking out like I would have at 25. I might have been going out partying that night just to drink away the confusion, but now I want to see it head on, so I'm able to deal with it as it comes, and have a good train of thought to rebuttal, conversations I have with individuals at work. So it wouldn't be just like, screw this shit, this is bull, screw this is the way we've always done it, screw this guy. Well, he might be better. Because I found out when I worked out at Tyson, they fired 3 or 4 people, and then you get new management altogether, and come in, and there might be some changes, and some people really don't like the changes. Some people really love the changes, and some people just kind of fall in the middle. And so I guess there's no use in really working yourself up too much until you know what's going on. But there's always that thought. Well, anyway, when life, Ryan, what do you do when you get a drastic change in routine that's not necessarily, you didn't go buy a new car, and so now that you're going to have to work a couple hours overtime a week in order to have enough money to pay for this. This was something that's happened without your control, without your consent, without you saying. It's just a part of your world now, and you have to deal with it. You don't have to, but how do you deal with those situations? Because I know you've come across them. I know some of them have hit you hard.
Yeah.
And I know some of them you've been able to deal with fine.
I was gonna say, I think like you said, it's situational. I'm not one that likes a lot of change, so if I struggle with it, I'll at least try to give it a chance. But once I've decided I don't like it, it's hard for me to
Right.
toe the line.
Sure. You have a criteria you've set for yourself, which is going to be comfortable for you during your routine.
Mhm.
And if that part of the routine, it's too far gone, it's just not part of your routine any longer. And so what do you do? Like, would you quit your job at that
I've
point?
done that before.
I have too.
Yeah, I've done that before. Sometimes without thinking it through.
Right.
I just get so frustrated that it's like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm out.
Now, so impact from that, from some, so could you give me an example of a time or just a scenario of a time when you overreacted to a situation because you thought it might really mess up your routine? So you said, if you're gonna screw up my routine, I'm gonna do it. I'm the only one that's gonna mess up this. Do you have a scenario that you could think of like that?
Mm-hmm.
To where you just emotionally like quit a job because of something, a situation like that?
Well, I think working for the city, I have regrets of quitting the city. I loved what I did, but it was a change in management,
Right.
and I just
Couldn't see eye to
I
eye.
couldn't see eye to eye, and then that started affecting my day to day. And instead of it just being, sometimes it was, let's reinvent the wheel. And so then my day to day operations was changed, and it just got so nerve wracking to the point that I just said I'm done. And they offered me a different position somewhere, and I was so upset that I just said, nope, I'm done entirely. And looking back, it's, could have I handled the changes, and if I'd have just taken it with a grain of salt, and you know would I still be there? I still have times where I catch myself daydreaming going, if I was still at the city, if I'd have just stuck it through, what would I be doing now?
Right. So there's some woulda, shoulda, coulda situations.
Yeah.
Thinking back.
Yep. And then there's been times, where I've thought this is the end of the world, and like you said, you're just going, oh well, hell, what was I so? I was pissed off before I even knew what the changes were,
Right. Yeah.
And then once you actually deal with the changes, you're like, oh well, why? I don't know why I was so upset. This is actually better.
So when you would this, let's say adolescent, we can carry adolescence can go quite a ways for some people. Myself, for sure. Like I was an adolescent a long, long time before I became an adult. I guess I would say. So as you're going up through the ranks of life, you're going from this job to finding a better paying job to a better insurance job, or you're moving around trying to figure out life and what you want to do for a career. Were you more rash with decision making that would affect you, like what we're talking about, where you may have gotten a new boss and you knew Monday morning you were coming into work? When you were an adolescent, youth, brain not as developed as it is now, did you find yourself making those decisions more frequently, or was that the go-to? Or so did you learn through sometimes making these rash decisions that may have led you to a worse job, or a job that just was better paying, but dang, the hours.
Right.
So how did that affect you? And was it in your youth? I'm asking, have you grown out of that type of behavior?
I'd say, yeah. I think my problem was I worked for my dad for a lot of years, out of high school into adulthood, and I got used to him as a boss and how things worked. And we worked a ton of hours, but Dad was a good boss.
Right.
And so then I think my problem was when I didn't work for Dad, I expected my next boss to be exactly like my dad was.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
And he wasn't. So then it was a struggle. You know what I mean? Like with Dad, I may have been able to speak my mind a little more freely, or, just different things that when you realize not every boss is the same, that was a struggle to me, because that's all I'd known up until that point. And so when you've got a boss that's like, well, and you're like, well, but, and they're like, I said do it this way. You're like, oh, Jesus.
Right.
Calm down, psycho. I was just trying to tell you that,
Uh-huh.
And where Dad, if you were like, hey, I thought maybe this way, or, oh, well, that's not, you kind of bounced ideas off each
Right.
other. And when you realize that that's not how every boss was, I think that was some of my frustration of and hardships when I first had to go work for someone else.
I can relate because I started working to Tyson when I was a teenager. You know, I was still a young adult, and I Tyson was the only thing I knew. And at Tyson in the '90s, I started in '99, early 2000. Like you go to work, and if you don't show up to work, then there will be somebody waiting on you that will do the job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to come to work, and you don't want to work while you're here. I'll fire you, and then we'll hire somebody. They always said we got 30 guys waiting outside the door for you to do your job. Either do it or you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way. And then as time goes by, this was IBP. I'm sorry, that wasn't Tyson, right? IBP was this. Then Tyson takes over and buys the company. Insurance changes, things changes, uniform changes, but management doesn't change, and things are pretty much the same, except for policy. Now there's policy changes that aren't the same as what IBP was, and I was no longer in the cattle pens. I was working in the rendering department, and now I'm a lead man, so I have more responsibility. And it's like, wait a second. When it was IBP and I was working out in the cattle pens, like we'd tell our boss we were going to be late. Just call him up and tell him, hey, we'll be late, and there was no points. Now you got points, and it's the same company, but this guy was a little easier to. He would let you. He would make up your time and stuff. He was an easy going along with boss. But I thought that's how the rest of Tyson was.
Right.
Wrong. There were some jerks at Tyson. I had some managers that sucked. I had some really great managers too. I had some really good guys that propped me up and helped me find my traction, you know. But I only had experienced Tyson for until like 2010, whenever I left Tyson, or 2008. Sorry, I left 2008 and came back in 2010. That couple of years that I'd worked a couple of different places sucked because I'd only known Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to Tyson until 2019. So basically 20 years at that place. And they knew me. They knew my attitude. I'd been in trouble before. I'd been praised before. I'd done a good job. I'd done a bad job. I'd done everything at Tyson since I was a kid. Everyone knew who I was. They knew, God, you say something to him, watch what you say because he'll blow up off the handle. That was okay with them. It wasn't okay with them, but that was part of their routine. I was part of the cog in the Tyson wheel. And then I went to Simmons. A lot of people came from Tyson, but culture's different. There's little things that are the same little things, the same bosses that do the same stupid crap that's annoying, and then the same good bosses that you wish you had. All of the bosses were like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He understands. He's out there with you. He cares. And then there's a boss that's sitting in the office telling you to do your job, telling you to screw off. I make more money than you do. I'm the boss. You know, all these different situations. But I was very comfortable at Tyson, and I got my job back. I quit Tyson and left. They hired me right back, started raising me up in pay. I was like, oh yeah, Tyson. Well, not every place is like Tyson. No place is like Tyson, as a matter of fact. You know, and no place I could never go to another Tyson plant like that because I didn't start working for Tyson when I was a peach fuzz faced kid that was still dealing with acne, to where I'm a fully bearded man getting gray hairs at Tyson. That's all happened my whole life. First 20 years of my life, essentially, that I'm out on my own doing things. I'm working for a beef packing company. When I think of the city all the time, I'm like, holy shit, you guys have it made. There's no points. If you come into work late, they say, hey, you were late, make sure you don't do that again. Or they don't say anything. It's a government type of job, you know, it's like the pay's not good. But the insurance is pretty decent. The hours and the way that you can get time off, that's great. Because at Tyson, you might call in sick to work, bring a doctor's note, and then they're like, okay, cool, here's some points. Go get back to work. Like, I'm still a little sick. The doctor's note says, you know, I should be, you know, like, well, if you can't come to work, we'll give you 2 more points and send you on home. Like, I can, you know.
Right.
So, I don't know. I guess it's got case by case, but that's a big part of life is routine. And I think for some people, I'll put myself in there and you in there. Like, if I lose my routine, it takes me, like, it's going to be detrimental to my day. If something screws up my routine, I have to get back on that track. I'm chasing my tail the entire day. What about you, Nate Dogg? We haven't heard from you about how do you handle situations like what we're discussing?
I don't know. I think I like to just roll with the punches. Like, if something changes in my routine, I don't like it, but I think I just kind of go with it. And sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. Like, when something changes and just frustrates the hell out of you, um, to me, sometimes it's just let's wait and see what happens, and then let's deal with it because lots of things change.
Sometimes they change before you even are affected by what you think you're going to be affected by.
Yeah.
Like this bike guy might get in a car crash over the weekend, and I come into work Monday, he's not there. Now we got some kind of super douche dude, you know. So that's cool. You know what I admire about you is your ability to not say anything, because you sit quietly oftentimes, not just during the podcast, but when we're around places or we've been in places together and people are all saying stuff and maybe voicing their opinion, you don't ever have to go back and say, God, that was a dumb thing to say, because you just listen and then think about it, and then maybe later you'll interject, or maybe you just keep it to yourself. Like, four people gave their opinion and there was a fifth and it was you, and you didn't give your opinion. And then maybe somebody asks you your opinion, you're like, yeah, I don't know, I'm still kind of weighing the options. I wouldn't do that. I'd give some knee-jerk opinion right off the bat that I might have to go back and say, oh, that was dumb. But you, a lot of times, process things. I don't know if it's good or bad, right? Like, we just have different ways of handling situations and dealing with it, but I do admire your ability to just stay quiet.
Well, I think there's missed opportunities in waiting to.
You know, good
Yeah.
or bad, like, that's the problem. Like, that's how you've set up your life, and it's sort of, at least if you're happy, it's suited you so far. So if you're not happy, then you know what to do. I'll just speak up sometimes and see how that works. It might be worse, you know. But I think you're probably right. There are probably some missed opportunities, but how you'd have to try to figure out how many missed opportunities were life changing because I didn't say anything, or how many missed opportunities were like, well, so I didn't get a raspberry creme brulee like everybody else because I was like, I don't know if I like creme brulee, and it got too late. Who gives a shit, you know? But on the other hand, maybe that was your only chance to get a creme brulee in your whole life, and now you didn't get it because you didn't speak up. Was it when you were a kid? Were you quiet?
When I was a kid, I had anger issues, uh, and there was a couple of times where it's like, whoa, I can't keep on going like this. There's no reason why I got mad. There's or I got mad and I screwed up a lot of stuff.
Because of the anger,
Yeah.
and reacting with anger.
Yeah, and so I eventually just stepped back and it's like, I don't know.
So your experience was essentially you would overreact, or maybe not overreact, but your reaction was reacting to what made you angry. And the lesson that you learned from that was, when I react angrily, the result is sometimes not the result I'm looking for. So I'm going to take a step back, and before I react out of anger, I'm going to calm down and then go from there. And then what do you find out sometimes? Well, fuck, I shouldn't even have reacted at all. So, okay, just going to go on about my business.
Yeah, and my family's love language was arguing. They were really,
That's the
really,
love language.
Yeah, we were all really good at arguing and lots of yelling and stuff like that. So I decided I didn't really want that for myself, and I'm not perfect at it. Like, sometimes I still argue and stuff like that, and sometimes I still get angry.
But don't you think that there's times and places to get angry and argue? I mean, it's like one thing that you handle anger real good, but then getting shit on is another. You know, like, I'm not a stepping stool. You know what I mean? Like, just because I don't react, don't mean that you get to fucking treat me like shit. So is that what you're explaining, basically I'm gonna be cool, but I can fucking still, which is good, like you can't just be, oh, I'm gonna be silent so everybody's like, oh, Nate ain't gonna say shit, I'll just go unload on him. I'm gonna fucking give him all my problems and then yell at him while I'm doing it because he won't get mad. Yeah.
Well, I like where I am right now, so I think it's working. I'm surrounded by, I like the job I have. I'm surrounded by people I love and who love me back, and I think even if it's not the right thing to do, I think it's working for me. So.
It's hard to say what the right thing to do is. That's a really broad statement, the right thing, because, the right thing for one isn't always the right thing for another, and then the right thing that you think may be the right thing, that sometimes, overall isn't really the right thing. I don't really have a good example for it, but, sometimes what's right for you, at least, or I guess for myself, something that might be right for me, like, something that might make a whole bunch of money. And I'm thinking, man, my family's gonna be set up and stuff, and I'm gonna make all this money, but now I'm at work all the time. When I do get off of work, I'm grumpy. I don't wanna do nothing because I'm tired, but my family's, they're getting the nice clothes and they're driving new vehicles and this, but the family is just getting further and further apart. At least me from my family is getting further and further apart. So is it better that I quit this job and find a job that I can spend more time with my family? Probably that would always be the answer. Like money's nothing except for a made up thing. It's made up. It's it's just like I can physically touch you and you can touch me back and we can have a conversation, but money, you could give it to me, I can give it back, doesn't mean there's nothing there. The only way it would be is if I was giving you money all the time and you relied on me now for money. That could be bad. Because if I stop giving you the money, then you do what I want you to do because I'm paying you, right? Or you are now reliant completely on me for money, so that's now your life is me and my personality. You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, that's not good. I don't know. I think for me personally, money, I have to have it, and I'm aware of that, because I've got mouths to feed, and I can't let my daughters wear holy clothes and dirty clothes to school and not smell nice. Like I have to teach them the value of working hard, and this is society. I want to tell my girls, look, don't work for some kind of company. Go out and do it on your own. But like, what's the chances of them being able to do that? It's very slim. So I have to be realistic but also understand. So I got to find that happy medium in being realistic. I have to have money, so I have to have a job, but I also want to be with my family. So what's the trade-off there? Do I make so little of money that I have so much time with them that they look at me and like, you could be working and we're broke or something, It's like, that's what I have to weigh my options out. I know I have to work, but I only want to work enough to where I can pay for our bills. I don't want to work a bunch of overtime, and I don't want to be driving a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. And I don't want a wife that thinks that we need to have a 2026 Escalade to be happy, And so that's how I've positioned myself in life. I found a woman that's happy with me and our family and our kids. And when we struggle, we all struggle. And when we do good, we all do good. It's a family, like our family is important. When my daughters say something to me, then it's important that I listen to what they say. Like, we miss you, Dad. We're tired of you working night shift and never being home, and you're grumpy when you wake up. That is important to me. All right, I'm looking for a day shift job. Well, I have to tell them, look, we're not going to have the same things that we've had because I've got to take a pay cut to do this job, but we'll have more time together. Are you guys okay with having less? And that's a conversation we had to have when I left Simmons. Basically the first time I've cried in years and telling my kids I'm leaving a job that's making, 6 figures a year, going to a job that's making half of that. And that's going to really affect us. But we're going to be together all the time. And it worked out. It's worked out fine for us. We've made it. We've had to cut back on things, but I think, at least I'm happy. I like working for the city. I like Monday through Friday work. And that makes me nervous that that could change, you know, just a schedule change. Just going from 4 or 5 10s, kind of what I'm working now, to 5 8s or 4 10s or 3 12s and a 6.5. That would really screw things up, you know. So I think about all those things. Life's funny because every day is, you know, you last Sunday things were completely different than they are this Sunday for me, because I just found out some news that may not affect me in any way, but that's what's on my mind, so it's
Right.
what's affecting me, you know, which is not bad. I'm glad we had the podcast this morning so I can talk about it. I'm sure that will help out. Okay, Ryan, it's your turn.
Oh boy. I know me and Native read 1984. I was meant to bring that this morning and forgot. See if you wanted to read it. I think that'd be a good book to talk about on here.
What is it called?
1984, George Orwell, Big Brother's Watching You.
Okay.
It's it was set in the future back when it was written.
But
And
now it's the future. We're actually in that physical time.
Yeah,
Yes.
What year is it set in?
1984.
Okay. And so we're past 84
Yeah.
now. So looking back.
And it just talks about how, you know, government can take over and all the facets of, you know, a government that's got its thumb on you can be like, and what your options are.
And you're looking at it like, oh, that came true.
Some of it,
Exactly
you're
right.
reading, yeah.
Some
Some
of
of
it
it
is.
you're reading it, and you're like, well,
You've
he
read
nailed that.
Farmhouse
Animal
or
Farm.
Animal Farm, I'm sorry.
Yeah, by the same author,
Same
George
author.
Orwell.
He's got, that's what I was going to say, he's got some really Orwellian ideas. That's where the saying comes from, Orwellian ideas, you know, but that it is, that the book was, it's a short read. So if anybody, you know, how long is 1984?
Like 250 pages maybe.
So it's a pretty
200.
short read too, 20 hours or something like that, not
Yeah.
too long.
It was 13 hours on Audible.
So for me, 20 hours, like I said, 200 pages, that's 10 hours every 100 pages for me. Because I got to go back half a chapter and remember where I read sometimes. Because I start thinking, when I'm reading, I may be interested in the book, but I'm writing my own chapter in my head as I'm reading. And sometimes I'll have to go back 3 pages and start, oh, okay, there's where I was when I started off on my own little book.
Right.
But Animal Farm is so short and it's so intense of a read. I mean, it was for me the first time I read it. I thought I was in high school, and then I have a copy in paperback that I got at the library, Friends of the Library.
Yep.
And I just got it because I wanted the book, and then I was like, well, fuck, I'll read it again. And it's like it's a couple hours. It's not even a couple hours read. I think an hour you can
I
get
was
through
gonna
that.
say the book I've got is just super
It's
fat.
really small, but it's a dynamic book. It really smacks home. So I would be interested in reading 84. I told you guys I didn't tell you because you're too invested in it. But I pre-ordered book 18, 12 months, Jim Butcher,
Yeah.
the Dresden Files. So it'll be here January. It comes out January 20th. I'm expecting it the 21st or so, around there.
Nice.
Through Amazon Prime, so it should be basically the next day delivery, and hopefully, since I pre-ordered, they'll already have it, you know, ready to ship,
Right.
and it won't take me that long to read it because it's been 4 years or 5 years since the last book came out, and I've already had to reread. I've already read Stormfront, I don't know, several times. I've read book 12 several times because those are I'm fucking pumped about this book coming. If you guys don't, I guess we didn't say what we're talking about, the Dresden Files. I think it was 2019 or 2020 the last time he came out. It might have been 2018 when he came out with the last book. There's been some novellas in between there and some shorts, but no actual follow-up to the Dresden Files. So January 20th, the book comes out. I'm pumped. These guys, he's already read through the series. Ryan is now reading through the series, and it's such a fun series for me, and it is a different look on wizardry and vampires than really I've seen fictional sci-fi books that kind of do have some of the different vampires genres in it, but Jim Butcher really goes into, and and isolates a genre of vampire that I haven't seen before, and some of them that they steal your love, your aura, they don't just suck blood. Sometimes they take life force. Depends on the different types of vampire. It's just really, really interesting, and I think that Jim Butcher has a genius of a mind, and can, the way he describes his thoughts are attractive because it's like a teenage boy that's just really, really loves what he's doing, and you can see the passion in the books. At least I can, and it gives me. It just puts me in a fantasy world when I'm reading through these books, to where I feel like I am Jim Butcher, and I've got my overcoat on, and I'm standing towering over everyone else with my staff, the smell of burnt wood. When he's just reading a book, I'm immersed in it. When his staff heats up because in the runes of the staff are starting to glow, I can start to smell the pine in the air. When he's describing it, it's like I feel a cool draft and chills going my spine because I'm so immersed in his words, which is odd. You'd think that a different type of book would capture me, something that was more realistic, but my mind is so. I want aliens to be real so bad, and I want, vampires to be. I don't know if I want vampires to be real so bad,
Right.
but the fiction of it all, the storylines and the romance of being young forever as a vampire, but having to deal with the conflict of good and bad, and that it's really romantic to me to think about those types of things. I don't know why. I think it's fascinating to be someone you're not, to be someone so powerful but have so much responsibility because you're going to live immortally, and what you're doing with your mortality is oftentimes like making other people suffer for you to be able to do this. And then I guess it's really romantic when there's a good vampire, like Jim Butcher's got a brother that's half vampire in the series. I don't know if you. Sorry about that. You probably didn't know that.
I didn't.
God damn it. You'll find out soon. You're in book
Yeah.
4, so it's only like 2
Yeah,
books.
it's pretty close.
So you're close anyway. But damn it, I forgot you'd only read a few. So anyway, sorry folks too. I'm explaining to everybody that's never read the series.
Everyone's going, oh.
I want to talk talk really everything about the book series with you, but it's like,
Well, you got to find out because you don't ruin it.
yeah, so I'm just like, where are you in this book? And then I ask questions. It's like, oh, you've not met them yet. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and so it's tough because you don't because book 17 there's some big changes.
We talked about it on the podcast, but he hadn't started reading it, so.
Oh, so he probably don't remember the characters' names and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
cool.
'Cause when
You
you talked about it on the podcast, I was like, okay, I want to start reading this series, and Nate got me the first book, and man, I've just been. Well, and then for Christmas, he got me book 4, 4, and 5,
Yeah,
3, 4, and 5,
3, 4, and 5. Yeah.
and I'm on book 5 now. And I mean, just every waking chance I get, like this morning before waiting for him to come upstairs, I was.
Oh, dude, those books are, when I do reread, book 12 and book 17 are going to be like milestone books. So when they go to Chechnya, I'm not going to get going on it.
Yeah.
But when you start into this book, like that you think you're into it now, but book 12, I mean, I'm talking, because I watch podcasts, I listen to people talk, everybody says the same thing. Like that book 12 it changes the momentum of the whole aura of everything changes at that point. And you'll see why when it gets there, because there's more information that you don't know yet. And that's going to start it changes the series from Jim Butcher being just a private detective and wizard of Chicago to hit the landscape completely changes, and his responsibility gets much greater. And that's when I really got even, I was hooked already, but the good thing for me is there was already 16 books out when I started the series, so you already get to read all the way to the end. But it sucks too because you're not ever waiting on the next book until you get to the end, and now you're going to be fucking pissed because I think he originally says there's like 22 to 24 books in this series, and we're only at 18 now. But he's written novellas in the middle too, which if you got it, and I have all these books. You guys don't have to go out and buy them. I got them. Just let me know, and we'll go. I'll give you a book at a time, and just keep reading them because it don't take that long. Those books, I think they're not 300 and 300 and 400 pages. They're not super long books. Jim Butcher's the Dresden Files, I guess. That's what we're talking about. The Dresden Files.
Harry Dresden.
When you get done with the Dresden Files too, I have the Cinder Spires. I have every series that.
After you suggested that, I read this. I think it's the Cinder Spires that I read.
It's like steampunk
Yeah, and there's ships and stuff,
that
and
fly.
talking cats.
Yes.
Yes.
Another excellent series.
Yeah.
Now I have book one of another series I started with Talking Cats as well, but the first book is like 800 pages, and the characters are. It was really difficult for me to read because I already started Cinder Spires, and there's so much overlap in there. The characters, it was hard for me to remember and decipher between the two. But anyway, yeah, the Cinder Spires is a really good one, and he has another series. Oh, I'm drawing a damn blank. The Olympian Affair. I don't have my. Anyway, regardless of, I've got every Jim Butcher book that he's written, except I think the novella, the Christmas novella with Tink. I don't have that little series because I read it online through like Audible or something like that. But anyway, I got the books. When we're ready for them, don't buy anymore or do. I mean, I would have bought them anyway if people were letting me borrow the books because I want them in my possession
Right.
to reread. They're good and they're not very expensive. You can get 3-4 books for $15. You can get used a lot of times from Barnes and Noble or Amazon for cheap. I have 3 hard copies because I've got 2 hard copies and I will have a third because when the books come out, you gotta buy them as hard copy or you gotta wait for the soft cover to come out. And I'm not waiting another month
Yeah.
to get the book. So that same thing when the Olympian Affair, the second book of the Olympian Affair came out, I got it in hardback because it was the second book and they hadn't written it yet. So yeah, I love them. I am completely taken by those books and I'm really happy he finally released another one and I hope, I don't know, it almost feels like he got tired of the character or something. Like, why did it take so long? Because there's a giant fan club out there, a Jim Butcher fan club. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I'm in it. I'm a fan, not top fan. There's guys that have their lives are dedicated to podcasts, and Jim Butcher's the main topic of discussion in those books. It's wild to me. But they're good, and then I like watching those podcasts because it'll kind of give other people's ideas of where the books are going to go. And have you got to meet Mortimer yet? The medium? That's going to be interesting too. So there's a lot of characters in there. Mortimer's a medium that can see and speak to the other side.
Yeah.
He came in early.
He came in during the werewolf one. No.
Full moon or
No,
New Moon. He's going to be
not the werewolf one, when he was fighting the Kravos's
was it
demon. When the
Death Mask
nightmare
or
came. I think Death Mask is what I'm reading now.
well. He will
Something
take
right.
a much
Death
bigger
Right.
role. Death Right.
He came in Death Right, I believe.
So his role picks up. His character picks up really big there in the later series of books, and because he seems like kind of a chode right now. You know, he really does. And then, but as time goes by, I don't want to spoil it too much, but he turns out to be quite the guy.
yes.
So, yeah, get home and read those books, man. Cause I wanna talk, now I'm gonna go back home and reread some of the older ones. I mean, I already anticipated on reading Stormfront because it's like, but it's also like devastating. Uh, that's a tough one. 17 is gonna be a hard book for you, just so you know. But it gets easier.
Okay.
Cause of Mortimer.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I'm about to go home and read some books. I'll see you all next week. Do you guys, do you only read, what's your favorite genre of book? Are you more of a for serious authors, or you like the fiction?
I like the wizards and stuff.
Sci-fi fantasy is my thing. I mean, it's just what it is. I love vampires. I love demons, and I don't love demons. I love the idea of a book written about demons. I don't really care for them myself. I don't fancy them. But that whole idea of there being, well, plus because when you're reading a book like this and you can understand maybe a different way to look at things, like the way Jim Butcher speaks of a veil. Like there's a veil between, the world of the supernatural and the human world, but they overlap. They're right. Like when Jim Butcher, when he's talking about going into the, what do they call it?
Never, never.
Basically, the Never Never, where his aunt is. So she's gonna play a bigger role too. All these characters do come back, but he's got to go in through an opening in the Never Never to make a shortcut to get to where he's going. He takes a shortcut through the Never Never, but it's just a shortcut in planes, in dimensions. He's shifting through dimensions, our dimension, but he's going through their dimension to get to another place in our dimension at a faster pace, right? So he's cutting through. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna say some
Please
shit.
don't spoil shit for me.
It really seems like it's not much, but like I know how it is. If somebody says something to me, then I read it and I'm like, oh, well, that's what he was talking about. Oh man, like that ruined it. It didn't ruin it, but it is so exciting to turn that page and see that the next revelation that's coming through. I like books more than TV, but it's hard for me to find. I can sit and watch TV and be bored and think about something else, but if I'm not into a book, I have to get into it. So slow starting books sometimes really, like, I guess it's a double-edged sword for me, because a slow starting book, sometimes I'll put it down before it gets to the part that's going to capture my attention. But then a really good book, like, Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle, about socialism in the turn of the century, 18 to 1900, talking about beef plants coming in and the USDA dying, food dyes, and nutritional supplements and things that they started doing to food to make it more appealing to people. I read that book from cover to cover in like 20 hours or something. My mom was going to college at ESU, and it was like I had gotten off work, and I come home and they were doing it. She had a sociology class, and she said, "Oh, I just got done with this book called The Jungle, and we had it in our sociology class, and but the book is describing the Socialist Party trying to get a hold on the community and move into a socialist style government." So it was one guy's story through the whole book, but it was actually hundreds of stories from immigrants that they'd all put into this one character, and it made it his story. And it just, I was into the book. It took like 2 chapters, and I was like, oh, this is okay. But like 3rd chapter, I was like hooked, and I sat in my mom's basement all day. She gave me that book. I went down there, turned on a lamp, sat in a chair, and I fucking read that book from front to back, and I could not put it down. I didn't want to go to the bathroom. It was so good, and I've never read it again. But I remember all of it, so I don't need to read it again. It was such an impactful book. But it's a fairly short read too. I mean, like if you do it all, you could do it in one day if you sit down and really get glued to it. But The Jungle, Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. It's another good one. It doesn't have the sci-fi, but it's a fictional book to the degree of this. All these stories are true, but it didn't all happen to the one guy. They just put it on him, and so very neat. What about you, Ryan? Are you into other genres of books? You seem like you could get a little bit more serious.
No, I like horror and I like sci-fi. Uh, Sci-fi fantasy.
So you like horror books?
Mm-hmm.
Never could get
Like,
into a horror book.
loved reading Stephen King and Dean R. Koontz and
Dean R. Koontz, I had a book called The Fade. He wrote a book called The Fade that I always thought was just unbelievable. One of my favorite, I Am the Cheese, S.E. Hinton, I Am the Cheese. The Outsiders, of course, you
Mhm.
know, and then The Fade. He had a couple of other books, but that's who I also kind of have the same type of background in books that you, the same type of authors, because that's just what interested me.
mm-hmm. Yep. And then I got into fantasy, and it was kind of like you said. It's like watching a movie when I read. You know, I can see Harry Dresden. I can see, all the characters. I can see the city. And I think that when you are reading a book or a series that can completely make you envision, everything, I think that's, you got yourself a good book.
It's so bad. My vision of Jim Butcher and all the characters, there is a Dresden Files TV series.
Yeah.
And
Really?
it follows the book fairly. It was like a Sci-Fi Channel. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, made for the Sci-Fi Channel, but very hard to watch because those characters don't match the characters I've already created in my head from his description in the book.
Yep.
Like he's 6'9", but the Harry Dresden in the Dresden Files, where are you going to find a guy that's 7 foot?
Right.
So all the characters look like they're so close to him in size. He's closer to Bigfoot's height in the book. You've come.
I don't think he's come across.
Bigfoot hasn't entered the scene.
No.
Okay. Well,
You're killing me, man. You're fucking killing me.
That's all I'm saying. That there's a character. His name's River Shoulders. I gotta blow it for you a little bit.
You really don't.
But in my mind, he's this gigantic dude because he is this string bean tall guy that And in the series, it's like, Anne Murphy doesn't look the same in the series. I mean, she's got short blonde hair, but that's the only thing that's it doesn't. I have a vision of what Murphy looks like. I have a vision of what Mortimer looks like, and everybody in the series. When you say their name, I have an idea, and the series fucked it up. Like, this series sucks, even though it's pretty loose. It's not even loosely based. It's pretty closely based on the book series, and they use the special effects. It's really low budget, like Sci-Fi Channel paid for the production of this, so they don't have like big budget money.
Yeah.
So it's like you see the light travel across the room from his staff. It's like on a string. Like, come on. And so it's like the book is so much more detail and so much more that they didn't have the budget to put all that into in the series. It's like I just stopped. I watched a couple episodes and I was like, this sucks. And it was on YouTube because I don't think Sci-Fi runs it anymore. But anyway, I found a couple of those and watched them.
Well, and I always appreciated my parents never limited me on what I read. Like, I read Stephen King at a young age, and my mom and dad weren't like, oh, this is too adult, or
Right.
I always appreciated that they gave me a lot of liberty when it came to reading. I think they appreciated the fact that I loved to read, and they never held me back on anything. If I came home with Stephen King's It, Mom was like, oh, you're reading that? And it's like, yeah, I'm excited. Okay, well, just keep in mind, but it was never, oh, you can't read that, or, because Nate had asked me, we were having beers once at Radius, and Nate asked me what my favorite book was. And I told him, I said, I think It, because I remember that being like the first adult book that I read as a kid. And it was one of those feelings, this 1,300-page book.
It's huge.
That my parents are allowing me to read this, and, you know, and all the raunchy and the scary and I was able to just absorb it.
Yeah.
And I told Nate, I said, I think that's why it is one of my favorite books, is because it made me feel like an adult that I got to
Yeah.
read it.
That could be, yeah. You finally feel like you're, make that next level.
Yeah, I'm
You're not a kid anymore. You're
Yeah.
reading like a man.
I'm not having to read a comic book or see Dick
Right.
Run or,
Sure.
I'm reading, this is what adults read. I am reading an adult book. And it just always, I loved that.
Yeah.
And, and then once I read that, it was the same thing. I just had a vision of all the characters. I mean, just the movie played out while I read the book, in my head. And then I just got addicted from there. Read The Stand, another superb book, and I couldn't get enough. I just read everything: Stephen King, Dean Koontz, and then as I got older, the fantasy side started really appealing to me. Not much when I was a kid. I always thought, oh, that's what nerds read. I'm not reading that nerd shit.
I was into the same thing. It stifled me for a long time because I was my own worst enemy again
Yeah.
when it come to reading.
Yeah, I was like,
if I
I'm
did
not
read
reading.
a book, I didn't want to tell any of my friends because I didn't want to get made fun of. My mom and sisters read Harlequin romances. Dude, they'd be sitting down in the evening. They'd both have a book, and they'd get to this verse, sitting down watching a TV. My dad, my mom, my sisters, they're reading book. My mom and sister are reading a book. By the time the end of the night, they trade books.
Oh wow!
Because they've read a book sitting there on the couch. My cousin read 127 books over the 2025 to 2026
Good
year.
Lord.
So she posted her book readings. Like our family, my aunts, all of them, Jude Devereaux was the Harlequin romance chick, and she wrote I don't know how many books. They had them all. But between my mom had 5 sisters, I think, 5 or 6. She had 11 brothers and sisters. She was a sister, so 5. She would have been the 6 on the sisters. They all would read these books, and then it was just a constant exchange. And it'd be like, well, they did a book exchange that morning, and they're going to meet again to do another book exchange that night because they read them.
Good Lord.
They are, addicted. I mean, my sister and mom and aunt, my Aunt Erin was close to us in age. My grandma was still having kids when her kids were having kids. And so we have a young aunt, and my mom, aunt, and sister, oh man. And they were all the raunchy romance books.
Right.
Just, with Fabio on the front with the long hair. And they would just be, it's completely in tune. And I just thought that was weird until I started getting immersed in books. But I still didn't see myself as being a weirdo like them.
Right.
But I'm sitting and not putting a book down, and I'm not letting anybody interrupt me while I'm reading this. Like, I'm the kind of guy, like, if you're interrupted, it's getting too noisy, I'm saying shh, 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 and putting my hand up, walking out of the room. Like I can't hear what the book's saying.
Right.
Like, shut, shh. It's getting to a good part, and I'm putting my hand up, I'm going into my room. Because I'm not taking my face out of the book. I get so into it. Like, I'll say something that I don't even realize I'm saying. Shut up. Like I'm getting irritated because you're
Right.
talking loudly while I'm trying to read this good part of the book.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't be fucking distracted right now. Which is strange. Because don't you think that this is sort of the landscape that we're trying to navigate currently with the internet? Parents saying, you let your kids be on the internet, they're going to warp their brain. Well, remember the boob tube TV? Don't let your kids sit in front of the TV, it's going to warp their brain. I can guarantee you when books first started being written, people said, don't let your kids read those books, it'll warp their brain. No, it won't. Nothing warps your brain, it's just all the way that you're ingesting knowledge. And whether that's through video or pages on a book or just personal experience, it's how you're ingesting your information, and it's just going to get. Well, we have phones now. Like we don't argue about anything. If I want to know what happened on the 18th of
Right.
December of 2022,
Google it.
yeah, exactly right. I mean, that's what we got to do because it's what we have. Perfect. 54 minutes in, still good. But that is how I absorb I absorb information the best through reading if I'm interested in it. But if I have to read something that I'm not interested in and try to figure it out uh, through a description in the book,
Yeah.
good luck. I could watch a YouTube video and figure it out because I could see what you're doing and you're moving it around with your hands and touching it. And that's how I work on stuff. Is I feel it, I see it, I can feel the hole going in my head. I can know the piece needs to shift this way because I can feel a thread. I can just about feel a thread. But in a book, you're saying put it in there, and I'm not hitting the thread. I don't have that experience of knowing where a bolt feels like when it catches that first thread. You know, I can't, a book doesn't do that for me. But all the stuff that interests me in a book does. So if it was like I was really interested on a book on how to build a wagon, I'd build a sweet wagon just off of the book. But I'm not interested in building wagons from
Right.
books. So unless you're talking about, a wagon getting destroyed from being run through a gauntlet and spears and stakes and fire, I'm not interested. I don't know. It's really strange, but I think historically people have balked at the ideas of anything that come up new, and it's turned out that's how our society's progressed. Like written word is way better than a oral tradition because people not only fantasize, then they make up stories, and then they add to it, they take away, and you don't get the whole story. You get the gist of it, is like, but you don't get written documentation that you could go back to and pinpoint and say, no, in fact, it was 4, not 3. We just always been using 3, but it looks like it's 4. But we talk about it, it's only 3. You can't change it. 4, we can go back to documentation and say, that's why it doesn't work as well. We need 4 is the magic number.
Yeah.
And now with the internet, we use 3, but we remember that book said 4, and now the internet's saying try 6 because we're AI and we run these calculations through, So pretty interesting.
What books did you start off reading, Nate? Where did you end up? Are you well rounded? Are you a certain genre? Or are you?
Well, I didn't really get into reading books until stuff like Audible and stuff because the way that I learn is through like listening, and so if I started a book, it would take a really long time to read it, like really long time because the words jump around and all that stuff. So the first book I read was Jurassic Park, and I loved that book. And I read it several times, but it like took me months and months just to read the first one.
So when you say jumping around and stuff like that, so as you're reading, do your eyes wander off the page and you start thinking about something else, or do you? Because I have trouble reading sometimes, if I'm immersed in the book, there's no problem. But if I'm trying to get involved in a book and it's just slowly starting out, sometimes I make the story up as I go, and then I'm reading, pages are turning, but my mind is already someplace else, and then I'll have to go back and reread. So what is it for you? I don't think you have the same problem as I do.
I have to concentrate to keep the words in order, I guess. I mean, I just have to look at it, and if I don't concentrate, then that's what takes a really long time, is just to figure out what's on the page. I mean, yeah, it sounds weirder than it actually is.
Is it like a degree of dyslexia of some sort?
I think so. I was never diagnosed with it or anything, so.
Well, I wasn't either, but like if say there's a for when we have to check our time cards at work, you have to have a code sent to your phone every time. It's like 2 or 3 party authentication, Say there's a code 3, 5, 9, 6, 7, 8. There's a 5 and a 9 in the same number group. I might backwards them, or I might think they're both 9s or they're both 5. But it's weird number combinations that fuck me up like this. I've never been dyslexic. Reading is very easy for me. I don't see anything wrong. But when it comes to certain patterns in the word, for example, an S can look like a 5 to me sometimes, and sometimes if I think about it, then it becomes that, and then it confuses the word right? Like it's like I get too far ahead of myself. Like I'm reading words in front of the words so I can pre-read, so I can, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking ahead and I'm almost anticipating what the next word is going to be, and then there's a number in there or something, and my eye catches it, and then it throws me for a loop, and I've got to go back and find, and then I have to convince myself in my head that that is not the letter S. It's a 5, and this is all speed of light happening. This is all going through. It's like as I'm making the action, as I'm reading, I'm deciphering too. Over in another corner of my head, there's some calculations going on to let the rest of my brain understand that it's not a 5. It's a S, or that's not a 2. It's a Z, or whatever the case is. Sometimes I will get, if I don't know when it happens. It's like if I'm trying to type a password in, I can't. I don't know. Maybe it's the pressure of having to type a password. But if there's numbers and letters in that password, if there's a 5 and a S, they may get switched. Why? I don't know, because I'm not doing it. I'm saying the letter 5 or number 5, and I'm pressing S at the same time. Just my brain won't let certain number combinations, numbers and letters mixed together, fucks me, and passwords fuck me around because I can't. 5 and 9 are the same exact thing sometimes in my head, even though I know for a fact that they're two different digits, two different numerals. In my head, if I say 5, 9 will be very easy to hit. Why 9 and 5? They don't even shape the same. They don't look the same. But to me, 9 and 5, and I didn't recognize that for a long time. It was when the more I had to use a computer for work and things like that, the more I would recognize that some certain combinations it just, like a short circuit in your brain, that when you plug something in and it arcs really quickly, it's like that, and I'm like, I got to get it back. And sometimes it might take 2 or 3 minutes to get back on course, because now I'm thinking about why is 9 and 5 so confusing to me? I've got some kind of something in my head that just confuses little things, and that when I was young it was a giant deal. Put the book down, I'm confused, but as I get older, patience kicks in, and my desire to go ahead and finish this outweighs my frustration of not being able to get it on the first try situation.
Well, now that you have Audible, what do you find yourself listening to the most?
I like the sci-fi fantasy, Spellmonger, and Stephen King. Spellmonger is by Terry Mancourt, and it's wizards and stuff like that. And it's AI wizards and aliens in space. It's really, I love that series. And then Dresden Files. Yeah, my favorite Stephen King. I guess it's a series of books, but it's the Dark Tower series was my favorite of he's done.
Yeah, I've read that. Did you guys either read Fire and Ice before it came out as Game of Thrones?
I read it after.
After the fact?
Yeah.
How did you like it?
Oh, I liked it. I like how I think everybody says it, but I like the novels better than the TV show.
That's what I think most people said that they did. It's hard for me because I already know what the Dragon Queen looks like. She's so fine. I mean, she's like one of the hottest. I think she's not American. She's like an English actress. But she's like, she's not my type of girl or anything like that. Just that part and her role and everything in the movie just, I think, made her that much more attractive, because she basically was nothing and then she became everything. That's like a romantic tale of someone that wasn't ever supposed to be, but she had the good heart. She should have been. And it looked like it was going to be her brother that was going to screw everything up, and then he dies right off the bat. So, oh, that's not where I thought that was going. Cool. But good series. But if you like, but Jim Butcher does that similar through with not the Cinder Spires, but when we're done here, I'll get I have the books, and for some reason it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, fantasy fiction, all good. We've been at it about an hour. You guys want to call it a day?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank our sponsors, Nature's Paradise, Emporia Training Center, Emporia Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and Mod's Tattoo Company. Without you guys, we'd still be doing this, just at a different location. All right. Have a nice day, everybody.